So as we go out throughout the presentation, if you do have any questions, feel free to send a chat to the group and I will try my best to answer them. I know some of these questions may be pertaining to other departments, but I will do my best to help assist. So again, thank you for joining this presentation. We are sending this to all of the new incoming students to kind of give you some tips and tricks, as well as some information for your preparation to arrive in Houghton. So this presentation, as you can see on the screen, is all about tips for living in Houghton. So first off, I want to say welcome to Michigan Tech. You guys that are all here have been admitted to Michigan Tech, hopefully with an approved visa at some point. And we look forward to welcoming you to our Husky community, as well as meeting you in IPS. One of my favorite parts of the job is meeting people from all over the world. And so this time of the year is very exciting for me when we have a lot of new international students checking in. So we look forward to meeting you in person. For a little introduction, my name is Julia Surdich, and I am the International Student and Scholar Advisor in the International Programs and Services Department. Around campus, a lot of people refer to us as IPS. So if you ever hear anyone talking about going to the IPS office, that is us. The first topic that I'll talk about today is the weather. So I'm not sure how much you guys know about the weather in Houghton, but as you can see from this picture, we get a lot of snow. So Houghton, Michigan, we experience all 4 of the seasons throughout the year. So summer, fall, spring, and winter. However, winter is our longest season. So this is, depending on the year, it could be as little as 6 months or it could be as much as 9 months. So we get snow a lot through the year. And so that's the one that you definitely want to prepare for. So when we're looking at the winter, the average temperature that we get in a day during the winter is 23 degrees Fahrenheit as a high and 5 degrees Fahrenheit as a low. So for you guys that are in Celsius, that is -5 Celsius to -17 Celsius. So I'm sure that puts it into perspective that it gets very, very cold here. And so with that being said, like I said, it does snow since it's, below freezing. And so snow will typically come around November or December. But there are some years where we have started to get frost at night in September and October. And then normally that snow starts to melt around April, but this could vary on the year. Typically, we like to make jokes saying that around April, we always get one last snowstorm. We get feet of snow. So that's always something that we look forward to. And with that being said, the average snowfall that we have in this area is 250 inches a year. So my one piece of advice that you will hear a lot throughout your first semester at Michigan Tech is to make sure that you find fun things to do during each of these seasons, especially in the winter, since it's the longest. If you don't find any hobbies or any outdoor activities that you enjoy, it will be a very long time. So just make sure you get involved and get outside and try to enjoy the weather. So this is a picture. I have some pictures from all the seasons. So this is a spring picture. As you can see, there's not really that much ice left on the water, but there is some lingering snow that is around. During this time of year, there's a lot of puddles, obviously, because we have feet of snow melting. So it does tend to be a little sunnier and less cloudy, though. So spring is a pretty nice time other than the puddles. This is the summer. So this picture is actually taken in Houghton, and the bridge on here is called the Houghton Lift Bridge, the Portage Lift Bridge. And so you can see this view is very beautiful. There's always a nice sunset. Summer is definitely my favorite time of the year. Right now we're going through somewhat of a heat wave, which I'm sure from other countries is probably nothing, but we've been having, weeks of low 90s, upper 80s Fahrenheit, which is kind of rare for us. So it's been very, very hot here lately. This is a picture in the fall. The fall is very, very beautiful. Also one of my favorite seasons, just because as you can see, the leaves on the trees start changing color and it is so beautiful. There's a place up north called Copper Harbor that you can actually see the fall colors from Brockway Mountain. And so I would highly recommend, again, getting outdoors, enjoying the views, and just kind of, including yourself in the area and the culture. So as I mentioned before, it is very important for you to be prepared for all of the seasons. So that depends on what season you're talking about, but there's always important information for each one. The winter is the very most important one to be prepared for. The first being wearing warm clothing. So this means dressing with layers. You're going to want to wear a long sleeve t-shirt, a sweatshirt on top of that, a winter jacket on top of that. You're going to want to wear winter hats, winter boots, scarves, whatever it may be. So make sure that you prepare yourself for the winter, because although you hear it right now saying, oh, it's this cold in the winter, once you're actually here in the cold, it'll be very shocking. So make sure that you dress with layers and stock up with that. We do actually have a Husky clothing closet on campus that we do have some winter gear there as well. And this is actually free for everyone. So once you do get to Michigan Tech, you can visit this clothing closet and you're free to take whatever is needed. Another thing that I like to mention with the winter is to make sure you drink enough water. Although it's cold, you might think that you don't need to drink anything. However, it's very easy to get dehydrated when it's very, very cold outside. So just making sure you stay hydrated, especially if you're doing outdoor activities. Vitamin D is an important thing that you will need to take while you are here. As you can see from the picture that I have on this slide, the clouds are gray and cloudy. You barely see the sun in the winter. So you'll want to make sure that you take some type of vitamin D tablet or gummy or whatever it may be to make sure that those levels stay up, because seasonal depression is actually a very common thing in this area because, like I said, the lack of sunshine. I've lived here my whole life and I still do get very low vitamin D levels and seasonal depression when I'm here. So I always take my vitamin D supplements every winter to make sure I can kind of stop that from happening. So that is definitely an important piece of advice that I would have. Again, like I mentioned before, finding fun activities. If you're sitting inside all winter because it's too cold, it's going to be hard, especially when your vitamin D levels are low. So find some fun activities to try. I know as of recently, last winter, I learned how to cross-country ski, and I had a lot of fun, even though I'm not very good at it. But there's ice skating around the local area. Michigan Tech actually has a skiing and snowboarding hill called Mount Ripley, and as a student, I believe you can get some discounts to go skiing or snowboarding, and they do have lessons as well. So definitely finding some activity that you enjoy will help make the winter more bearable. And then finally, being careful of ice and snow. Obviously, it's snowing, it's cold, there's ice on the road, there's ice on the sidewalks. So it's very important to be careful. Something that a lot of our students like to do is they like to get these little insoles on the bottom of their winter boots or shoes that have grips on them. So that way you can grip to the snow a little easier. Because I know I am a victim of the ice in the area. I think it was 3 winters ago now, I had slipped on ice. I was wearing dress shoes right before work and I fell, I landed on my ankle, and I ended up breaking it. So it wasn't a fun story when people asked, how did you break your ankle? And I said, oh, I slipped on ice. So definitely don't be like me and make sure you leave yourself enough time to travel so that way you don't have to be running across campus on the ice. Moving into spring, like I mentioned, there are a lot of puddles because all of that snow that we got in the winter is melting. So just making sure you wear weather appropriate shoes. I mean, you don't necessarily have to wear rain boots, but you don't want to wear brand new clean shoes either. So if there's a day where there's a lot of puddles, just make sure you dress accordingly. In the summer, obviously, like I said, it's very hot here right now. So you'll want to make sure you dress in cooler clothing. Since you're coming in the fall, it might actually be still kind of warm when you arrive. So you'll want to bring cooler clothing. And in the summer, like I said, it's very, very beautiful out here. There's a lot to do, a lot of waterfalls, a lot of trails that you can hike in. So just make sure you get outdoors. It makes it a lot more enjoyable to be able to, find new hobbies and just enjoy the nature. Houghton is an area that if you want big shopping malls and a lot of, people and a lot of entertainment, that's not really what we're here for. We are a very small area, and so what we really thrive on is our outdoors. So definitely take advantage of the views that you have when you're here. And then fall, like I mentioned, enjoying the fall colors. There's many, many places around this area. Again, there's hiking, there's mountains, there's falls that you can also go to in the fall that you can enjoy those colors. And again, this is going to be the time where you're going to start taking out your warmer clothes. You'll notice that when it starts to be fall, the nights will get colder. There might be frost on the ground. So that'll be when you'll start bringing out, your sweatshirts, lighter jackets, and when we'll start preparing for winter. So that's just a little gist about how to be prepared. Again, like I mentioned, for clothing, when you arrive in the fall semester, it will be the ending of summer. So just make sure that you plan to pack accordingly. You don't need to pack clothes for all of the seasons, so you don't have to start packing and bringing stuff for next spring, because we do have areas in the local area where you can purchase clothing. So you don't have to bring your whole wardrobe. You can purchase stuff as you get here. And the one thing that I would recommend to you when you are here is to just make sure that you look at the weather forecast ahead of time. I know something that I do every morning when I get up for work is I'll look at the weather, see what the temperature is going to be like that day, and then I wear an outfit based on that. So recommend that, especially in Houghton, the weather could change in an instant. So, especially in the spring, 1 minute it might be raining, 1 minute it might be sunny and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very, very hard to estimate what the weather will be like. So just make sure you're prepared. So here you can see an example of the clothing. So on the left, this is a picture in the summer. You can see he's got nice shoes on. He must be taking a hike. He's got a t-shirt and shorts on. The middle picture is more a fall or autumn picture, so it's kind of getting colder, but it's still very nice outside. Oops, so they're wearing oh, I don't know what's happening with my thing. So they're wearing jackets, boots, kind of a little bit warmer clothing. And then on the right side, you can see that there is a guy that's dressed pretty fancy. That's more of a spring outfit. He's got a light jacket on. He's wearing pants because it still might get a little chilly. And he's wearing a nice pair of shoes on that. So moving into some shopping. So in our area, I'm not sure if you guys have any connections with any of the current students, but the one thing that you'll hear the most is that we do not have that many stores around here that have a good variety of international foods and ingredients. We do have some. Jim's Food Mart is actually a store that is right by campus, and they are probably your best option for those varieties in our local area, and it's just a quick walk from campus. So that's typically where our international students will go. Walmart is also another option. They have been getting better over the past few years at getting more of a variety, but still not the greatest. So what I would recommend to you, which you can see as the last bullet point on this slide, is a lot of students actually fly into Chicago and get some of these items at the Chicago airport. And so that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, obviously, you can go online, Amazon, eBay. I'm sure you can find the things that you need. Clothing, again, we do have some clothing areas that you can go to if you need, new winter gear, new spring gear. We have Walmart and Maurice's. These are some clothing stores. And then there are also some local businesses that also sell clothing. It might be more on the expensive side since that's more tailored towards tourists. But Walmart is a very popular option. They do have a wide range of clothing. So, but there's definitely options for you here. All right, so another thing that I know a lot of students ask for is banking. So obviously you'll have a bank account back home, but you might need to do wire transfers or things that, your bank back home can't do while you're in the United States. So in the local area, we do have some bank options. There's Breakwater Federal Credit Union. This is located in Houghton, but it is a bit of a ways away from campus. So if you don't have transportation, that might not be the most convenient for you. And the one thing is you do need a social security number to open an account. So you're coming here, obviously, you probably don't have one. So it's an option to you, but it might not be the most convenient. So the one that we recommend is Flagstar Bank because you do not need a social security number to open an account. They're within walking distance from campus. So this is definitely the popular option among our international community. And because of that, they're also very good when it comes to international wire transfers and working with banks back home. So that is our recommendation. Otherwise, we do have other options around the area, so you can choose which one looks most attractive to you. We do have Minor State Bank in Houghton, as well as Superior National Bank and Trust across the water over in Hancock. For cell phone companies, we have quite a few great options. AT&T and Verizon are bigger chain cell phone companies that we have in the area. So although they're great options, they might be a little bit more expensive. So, as an international student, you might want to look cheaper. So that's why we would recommend H2O Wireless. This is a local company, and Jason, who is the owner, is very, very good and inexpensive at getting your SIM card switched over. So we would recommend him. When you do check in with our office, when you arrive, we will give Jason's phone number to you in case you want to reach out to him. Otherwise, we will have a community expo in the middle of August where he will be actually. If you arrive early enough, make it to that, do that then. Otherwise, at Walmart, Talk, and so Straight Talk is where you buy a phone, you buy a card that has minutes on it, and then you can, set up your phone that way. So like I said, all are great options, whichever is most convenient for you. Use that. So I know that was a pretty short presentation, but that is actually all that I have in terms of content-wise. Like I mentioned, this is the first of our live sessions, so we will be talking more in the future. And local area tips and tricks. And so for right now, does anyone have any questions about anything we covered today? You can type it in the chat too. So how do you obtain a social security number? So good question. So this is also something that I believe we'll cover in our employment PowerPoint. So definitely attend that one to get more information. But actually on the International Programs and Services website, we have a helpful links section on the right-hand side, and there is a social security number link. And so if you click that, that'll walk you through the process of documents that you'll need to create and generate and collect in order to go to your appointment. And then it'll give some more information on eligibility. Obviously, you will need to have, an employment in the United States before you are eligible for a social security number. So that's the big thing, but definitely, like I said, check out our website. I can actually link it right here in the chat if you'll just give me 1 second. So here is the link to our social security webpage. Perfect. So that's that if you want to refer there. How can we verify mobile compatibility as per SIM card companies? So yeah, so actually when you arrive in Houghton area, you can actually talk to the specific company and they'll tell you more about your options. So with Jason, I think that, he's pretty compatible. I don't know of any international students that haven't been able to switch over SIM cards with him. So I think just, if you want to reach out to AT&T, you can reach out to them. Otherwise, just asking the companies, they'll be able to help you out there. Is Chase Bank available nearby? Unfortunately, we do not have a Chase Bank in our area, and we do not have Mint Mobile as well. We only have the ones that I had listed on the slide. Okay, let's see. It looks like we have another question talking about an email about Canvas registration, and it is due before classes start. So any information regarding Canvas registration. So is this Canvas registration pertaining to our international student seminar, or is it just for classes in general? If you could clarify that, that would be great. I can give you more information. The approximate travel distance from campus to Chicago. So for distance, it's about I would say probably a 7 to 8 hour drive. And so what we are telling our international students is it would be best to fly directly into Hancock CMX, which is about a 10-minute drive from Houghton and campus. And so if you arrive between the dates of August 8th and September 8th, we are actually doing a pickup service for the Hancock CMX airport. So that's definitely an option for you if you're not sure how they will get away from the airport. Other grocery stores apart from Walmart, there are some other local grocery stores. They do tend to be a bit more expensive. We have Pat's Foods, Festival Foods. There's Atotix, which is in Houghton as well, kind of down the road from Walmart. And I know that the Houghton shuttle, as well as the Michigan Tech shuttle, also go and make stops to Walmart and Atotix. So that is probably the two that we would recommend. The recording will be available after this session. Yep. As I mentioned, we will probably post it on our website, linked probably to the main page, as well as on our Facebook. So I know I switched over from Facebook to Zoom, so I will post it on Facebook as well. Class orientation. If you reach out to the Michigan Tech Registrar's office, which I can give the email in the chat, to assist with you adding into your account for the fall. Do we have any Asian supermarket or market nearby our campus? We do not have any specifically tailored to Asian cuisine, but like I mentioned before, Jim's Food Mart and Walmart do have some options available when it comes to ingredients and stuff like that. But like I said, you might want to reach out a little bit and maybe look into Amazon or some other stores out of the area because you'll likely have better options. And it looks like someone asked about African shops as well. The same case applies where there are some ingredients at some of our stores, but there's not a specific African one. In terms of transportation from Chicago to Houghton. We do not have that service this year. So as I mentioned, we are recommending for students to fly directly into Hancock CMX and then take our airport shuttle pickup service if you do arrive within those dates. I know I mentioned that as well. Looks like I got the same question. Looks like I'm all caught up with those ones. Does anyone have any other questions? And always, if you have any questions as well, you can always reach out to our department. I know I've been the main one in contact with you, but you can also reach out to our main department email, which is ips@mtu.edu. That way, you know, some of these questions, you know, could be answered by anyone. So you might get a quicker response by emailing our department email. Whereas, you know, obviously responding to just me, I know with all the students, I've emailed over, you know, 700 people that are admitted for the fall. So it might be a bit of a slower response. So you can always reach out to our department as well. What are the best options to live around in Houghton before we get into Daniel Heights? So if you do have a contract with Daniel Heights, I am not sure if housing is offering any flex housing for those that have a few day delay to get into their apartment. This is housing's email if you wanted to reach out to them. They have, I think, a canned response where they give a lot of different links of, you know, local for sale areas. I mean, if it's only a few days difference, you can always stay at a hotel. I don't know how expensive that will be because I know our hotels are pretty cheap, pretty expensive around here. So you can always reach out to housing and they will send out those resources for you there. Otherwise, you can always reach out depending on where you're from. I know we have an Indian Students Association. We have an African Students Association. A lot of them are very, very good at, you know, accommodating their incoming students. They're very welcoming. And so you can always reach out to them as well. And they might, you know, have someone that's willing to take you in for a few days while you're waiting. Any other questions? You can always reach out at any time, but I appreciate you guys joining. It's a good turnout. And like I said, there will be other Facebook Live sessions. Let me take a look, or not Facebook Live, sorry, Zoom. I will take a look at our next one. Our next one will be this Friday, again at the same time, and I will talk more about transportation and other options and housing in that live session. So make sure that you attend that. I know there's a lot of housing questions and that's a big issue around our area. So feel free to join there. And again, I'll send out the link. Yep, so the presentation will be posted on our website, hopefully later today, as well as on our Facebook page. So if you want to refer back, feel free, and that will be posted on there at some point today. But if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap up here. But if you do think of anything, feel free to send us an email, like I said, and we're happy to help, and we look forward to meeting you guys when you arrive on campus. So thank you for joining and have a good rest of your summer.